We are looking good. Here we go. Perfect. It's all
Excellent.
good. We get
Sorry
there
about
in
that,
the end.
everyone.
You know how this works. Awesome. Well, welcome back, everybody, to the Canada Specialist Program webinar series supported by Destination Canada and Air Canada. The second update today is with Lizzie. Now, Lizzie has been working with Canadian destinations for over 20 years, extensive experience with the trade and with media. She wears many hats. Today is her Tourism Calgary hat, which I know you're not wearing a white cowboy hat today, Lizzie, in real life.
I should have. Might have kept my fuzzy hair down.
It's all good. But yes, after talking about the Rockies, we know Calgary is a gateway city to the Rockies.
Absolutely.
Many people are either starting or ending their trip there. So today is really just to help agents, figure out how do you start and end a trip in style in Calgary. So Lizzie, we'll just go over the basics quickly. How do we get to Calgary and how do we get around?
Absolutely. So just to put in a little bit of perspective with geography here, Calgary is in the province of Alberta and it is one of the airport gateways in the province. They're serviced from Australia via Vancouver or via LA, depending which way you come in, but there's regular flights into the city itself. It's an international airport. It's only 20 minutes from the downtown. And then once you're at the airport, it's very easy to get downtown. Everything from shuttle buses that continue on to the Rockies, but will stop downtown, car hire, there's rail packages in opposite directions as well. And of course, there's taxis to get around. So there's, it's very easy once you're in Calgary airport to get around. And later I'll touch on too, just even points on accommodations to either it be near the airport or downtown, but everything's very easily accessible once you're into Calgary airport itself.
Cool, thank you. And now how about some of the top things to do in Calgary? What attractions are there to see and do?
Absolutely. So Calgary's year-round. It's a year-round destination. There's no particular season, but there are a variety of activities that you can do. And then I'll highlight some that are most popular and very, again, easy accessible, and then just some niche experiences as well. So downtown itself, there's Heritage Park, which is an introduction of Western history, and it really takes you back in time when you're there. So that's a really great visit. Calgary Zoo has all the animals, so a bit how Africa has its top 5, Canada have all its top 5 too, and they're all at the zoos. So it's really good to get some information about them and go and see them before you head out into the mountains. And there's a train station that stops right in front of the zoo as well. So we're making it very accessible. Calgary Tower, that's quite iconic. It stands 191 meters tall in the downtown, and it's iconic for seeing the skyline, and it has a glass floor ceiling. So if you're game enough, you can stand on the glass floor and look down.
I've got a picture standing on that glass floor.
Oh, me myself. I don't know. I'd have the camera leaning over. So yeah, and then also to I'll flick over just to, so Studio Bell is really popular. It's newish. It's the National Music Centre. It's located in the heart of Calgary, and I find that it's quite unique with for storytelling of music of Canada, but it's amazing too. They also have Elton John's piano and Rolling Stones Marlboro recording booth in there. So there are some really cool attractions in the National Music Centre, definitely worth checking out. If any of you have ever been to Queenstown, New Zealand and tried downhill karting, it's the Skyline Luge is in Calgary as well. Great fun for the whole family. And the walking and bus tours as well. They're really fun to look around, from the history to the architecture, the public art. And they introduce everything that custom about Calgary, and they'll even do Calgary Stampede tours as well. They'll talk you about Stampede art. So it's definitely worth checking those out as well. Famous for many years in the Rockies was the sidecar adventures. Everybody did it in Jasper particularly. What's exciting now, they're in Calgary. So you can explore Calgary and the outskirts of Calgary or Rocky Mountain sidecar adventures. So that's really fun way to go and see the city. probably do that one in summer. It might be a bit chilly in winter. And one of my favorite all attractions from a wildlife perspective is on the outskirts of Calgary in a town called Cochrane, and it's Yamnuska Wolf Dog Sanctuary. It's en route to the Rockies, but it's also an easy 20-minute drive from downtown Calgary. And they have tours to actually see these wolf dogs, which are magnificent, and it's year round. So it's a really wonderful way to see wildlife and wolves, because wolves are quite elusive and you don't get to see them a lot in the wild. Another fun thing to do is paddle on the Bow River, which goes from the Rockies straight down through to Calgary. That would be a summer experience. And they have paddles for like 2 to 4 or 8 to 12 people. And you get down there via Uber or taxi. There's no train stations or anything like that around there. But that's a really fun way to float down and see all the city. And now you can't go to Calgary without getting some cowboy boots, especially if you're coming around Calgary Stampede. And the Alberta Boot Company have now expanded, and they've got a really big factory in downtown where people can do tours or buy boots. And even what they're doing now for the travel trade is that they've actually introduced like small group tours as well. So definitely look into that. That's a fun way to get amongst the culture. Food tours are very popular. Food and drinks in Calgary really are iconic. The city has amazingly culinary experiences. And I've had many product managers from our key wholesale accounts tell me they think that is the main thing to do in Calgary is eat. And everybody loves to eat. So you're definitely going to be fine there with all the restaurants on offer. Now, Indigenous is very important to the Calgary people, and they have a lot of respect for the Indigenous people, and they love to bring their tourism experiences into their offers that they actually give to the travel industry visiting. So everything from fly fishing there, and they're Indigenous guides, and they'll take you out and they talk about the land and the water and what it all means to them, and really good storytelling in their packages. And then there's also 2 small groups like Painted Warriors. They have like a cabin area, and they will actually teach you Indigenous ways and Indigenous trends, and they do small groups out there as well. Then there's galleries, so there's a lot of great Indigenous tie-ins. And I'll touch on Indigenous too at the end when I talk about how Calgary is the base camp to further Indigenous experiences south. And then winter. Winter is amazing in Calgary, and it is definitely not somewhere to miss in winter and head just to the mountains to ski, because it's so beautiful. There's a lot to do. And wind sport is home to Calgary. They hosted the 88 Calgary Olympics, and you have to check out where Eddie the Eagle jumped and actually made a movie. So that's at Wind Sport Canada at Olympic Park. Definitely worth checking out. You can ski there, you can tube there, and it's an athlete training centre. So it's always on the go. Really great to see. They also have a winter festival, the Chinook Blast Winter Festival. And one of my favourites would be the Calgary Zoo Lights. And they should be very proud of those Calgary Zoo Lights, because they were one of the first in the world to do it. And now many zoos around the world actually got the idea from Calgary and copy zoo lights. And you walk through the zoo and they have it all illuminated, as you can see in the picture, and you can still see the animals. It's especially those that hibernate. So it's really exciting to see them out and about. And that's about really, Charlie, of all the things that you can and see and do. And of course, I can elaborate on any more, but I could keep going and going.
Now, one thing we haven't mentioned yet, of course, is the Calgary Stampede. We can't have a Calgary update without talking about the greatest show on earth. So you've got a bit of information for us on the Stampede.
Absolutely. So this is a 10-day event, and it brings the city to life. And you can see it's got next year's dates of 5 to 14 July. The signature experiences are the afternoon rodeo and the evening chuck wagons. There's a grandstand show. It's paired with exciting midway food tours, agriculture exhibits, and they do have Indian village as well. Again, as I mentioned, the Indigenous culture comes into everything they try and do in Calgary. So definitely worth checking out. And look, definitely stay 3 or more nights, because it's an ongoing experience. You can't see Stampede in one day and all it has to offer. It's like the Easter show on steroids. humongous.
It's a good way of describing it, because we've both been there, and yes. Yeah, it's a huge event, a huge park, and lots of things on. Thank you. So can you just maybe quickly give us a few accommodation options, please?
Oh, sure, absolutely. So popular downtown properties that a lot of the trade would sell are in the main strips of Calgary. I've put a few of the highlights up here on the screen. I don't have to read them all out because it's self-explanatory, but I will say the Dorian is very new, and it's an autograph collection, and I've heard wonderful reviews of this property, and so it's quite exciting. So that's the one in the top corner there. And it's really worth checking out those autograph collections because they have signature art in them and signature restaurants. And it's quite when they bring like a destination into a property, and it's a bigger part of the experience. So everybody's quite excited about the Dorian downtown. That's one to add to the list that is available in Calgary. But also too, I really encourage agents to try and get some of the clients to go downtown, because what happens now, as you can see, we have beautiful airport hotels, but a lot of the packages and tours stop and start at the airport, and they miss that great culture and all these activities that I've suggested in downtown Calgary and beautiful hotels downtown. So while we have some really nice airport hotels, it's very close to the downtown. Extend their stay, even if it's for a night. You can see and do so much because Calgary, everything is very, very close and central to the city. You've got the beautiful hotels downtown. There's no need to rush straight away off into the mountains. Australians like to stay longer, explore further. So this is a great way to do it beyond the airport. But if you do need the airport, we have lovely airport accommodation as well.
Yeah, thank you. And of course, one activity we haven't mentioned yet is shopping, which is also what a lot of Aussies like to do. And Alberta's a great place to shop, right, Lizzie? Because there's no provincial sales tax, so things are a little bit cheaper.
Right.
And what shopping do you have in Calgary?
Oh, well, I've listed out some malls and centres here, but I will focus really for everybody to take a walk on Stephen Avenue. That's my favourite. And it has a lot of shops that are all the way along the strip, shops, restaurants, and you can plan your day around Stephen Avenue. And it's very close to all the hotels downtown. If you did want the big mall, probably Cross Iron Mills, and they've got a lot of factory outlets at Cross Iron Mills as well. So yes, you can shop till you drop in Calgary, that is for sure.
Awesome, thank you. We're just going to finish up with, of course, we know that Calgary is a gateway to the Rockies, but what are some of the other destinations in Alberta that we can visit from Calgary?
Absolutely. Now, Calgary like to be known as the base camp to adventure. So they are the base camp to heading north to Banff and Lake Louise and Jasper, but also heading south. And I touched before on UNESCO World Heritage Sites. So with Calgary, there is a lot of the places south in Alberta that the townships might not be as not as touristy as they need to be to welcome people. And so there's some famous attractions for like Head Smashed in Buffalo Jump, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. You can go there from Calgary and actually learn about the Indigenous culture, see this historical site, all within an hour to 2 hours, and head back to Calgary. So you can definitely explore southern Alberta as well with Calgary as your base camp. Very iconic too, and nowhere really else in the province you can see this much, or maybe even across Canada, you can see this much dinosaur fossils. True dinosaur fossils, large scales, are sticking out of the ground at Dinosaur Provincial Park. That's 2 hours south of Calgary, 2 hours one way, but there is nowhere to stay down there. So definitely when you're thinking you want to explore south for your clients, think of Calgary as your base camp and then go back and forward. Waterton would be the only place that I would say that you could stay, but it's on the border of Montana and it is a long way. So you'd have to overnight there and then keep going, maybe if you're going to the US, but otherwise definitely think of Calgary as your base camp for southern Alberta versus staying in some of the small towns that may not meet your clients' desires for restaurants or accommodation variety.
Thank you for all those tips. Awesome. Thank you, Lizzie. Have you got some contact details there?
Yes, here's my contact details. Happy to be contacted anytime.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lizzie. I hope that gave you guys some ideas for pre and post in Calgary.